my role is the team manager of the Preventing Exploitation Team, and we're a team that sit within Somerset Children's Social Care, and we cover the whole of Somerset. And we're made up of a team of 8. And I won't go too much into the team because I don't have much time. But I'll go into kind of the support we can offer to children who are open to the Child in Need ROTH pathway. So the pathway is really new. I think we adopted it, I think it was January 2024. So we're nearly 18 months into having this in Somerset. So as I said, it's really new. We're learning as we go. We're learning from our kind of success and also the things we could be doing better. And we are continuously adapting it to try and meet the needs of the children that we're supporting. So this is just a really quick whistle-stop tour of what the ROTH pathway is, and kind of how it's working for us in Somerset. So it's a pathway that sits within Child in Need. So it doesn't at all take away from children who need to be on a child protection plan or children who need to be on a child looked after plan, but it sits within Child in Need. And the reason we adopted it really is because we recognise that kind of traditional safeguarding pathways don't really meet the needs of children who are being exploited. So the sole purpose of the plan is that it's for children where the extra familial concerns by far outweigh any of the other concerns. So for your children that are kind of experiencing exploitation, peer-to-peer violence, anything where the concerns are out of the home. And the main kind of ethos of the pathway is that everybody's working together. It's everybody's responsibility. We all need to address exploitation together, and that parents are very much part of the safeguarding plan. So they're partners in the plan for their children. As I said, it doesn't replace the Section 47 and child protection process. If that's needed, then that's needed. And if a child becomes a child looked after for any reason, the CiN ROTH pathway would end. So here's just a few numbers. This is obviously ever changing. And this is, I know it says the 4th of the 7th, 2024. This is more recent than that, these numbers. So 28 children in Somerset have been referred for a Child in Need ROTH triage since the pilot. And 28 CiN ROTH meetings have taken place and 12 review CiN ROTH meetings held. So 25 children were finally accepted onto the pathway. So when a triage happens, the social worker would refer their child into the pathway, and then myself and Michelle Gray, who was supposed to be here but sadly couldn't be, she's the child protection chair who chairs the CiN ROTH meetings. So myself and Michelle will sit down, we'll go through the referral and decide whether the CiN ROTH pathway is appropriate for the child or not. So as you can see, the vast majority of children referred on are accepted. 7 are currently being supported by the CiN ROTH pathway. I think the number, we've had an influx recently. I think at the moment it's about 11 children. And of these that were being supported, out of the 7, there was 1 at risk of sexual exploitation and 6 at risk of criminal. I would imagine it's still pretty similar. I think there might be 2 sexual exploitation and the rest criminal. 18 are no longer supported by the pathway. One of those became a child looked after, and 6 of the families withdrew consent. And when the families had withdrawn consent, it was quite clear that the exploitation concerns had reduced, so much so that the family didn't feel it was an appropriate pathway. They didn't want the intervention anymore, which is, that's what we're aiming for. 1 child moved out of the county, and then 3 of the children were identified of having risks within the home. So, like I said, the pathway is only going to work if the parents are really on board and the majority of the concerns are extra familial. If we then identify during the pathway that there's issues within the home or concerns with the parenting or the child is at risk within the home, then it's not the right pathway anymore. And that's when they may become a child on a child protection plan or child looked after. and 13 different agencies, in addition to the social work teams, have attended the meetings to date. Here are just some key points that kind of we deal with within it. So, like I said, the referrals are made by the social work team. Whilst it's the social worker who makes that decision, we really try and advocate for partner agencies to also keep in mind the ROTH pathway. And if you're working with a child who's on a child in need plan, for example, we recommend, if you feel it's appropriate, please do say to the social worker, have you considered a ROTH plan? Whilst it's the social worker that makes the referral, we want everybody to be talking about it and considering it. So as soon as a child's been accepted onto the plan, we aim to have an initial meeting within 15 working days. And the young person will receive a letter from the CP chair, who will be chairing the meeting prior to the meeting. And then afterwards, they'll receive a therapeutic letter to reflect on the nature of the discussion and talk about the plan going forward. Again, that's from Michelle, the chair. Professionals have the option of attending in person or virtually. We do try and see if professionals can come personally, and the locations can differ all across Somerset depending on where the child lives and where is best for the family. But we do have really good engagement now in person, which is what we're always working towards. The difference between, I guess one of the main differences between a child in need plan and a CiN ROTH plan is that social workers are expected to visit the child every 10 days, whereas a child in need plan, it could be monthly visits, but we really promote the relationship-based practice model, and social workers are much more likely to get a good relationship if they're visiting that regularly, and often the risk is higher for children on a CiN ROTH plan than a CiN plan. So it seems like an appropriate response to that. And then every 4 weeks, there's a ROTH catch-up. So they're the mini meetings in between, a bit like a child on a child protection plan. You might have core group meetings every month. It's a bit like that. And then every 3 months, you would have a big CiN ROTH meeting chaired by Michelle. And then meetings are only proceed with family. So that's what I was emphasising earlier, is the importance of family buy-in. They're partners, they're stakeholders in this. We can't proceed without them. So that's like a really big difference, I guess, between CP and CiN ROTH. Here's some feedback. So we're forever gathering feedback. We need to make sure that this pathway is the right pathway for families. And so feedback from children and parents is the most important thing. So I'll let you have a quick read of this. I think one of the things that we hear a lot is the fact that it's chaired by an independent chair. So somebody who's completely separate coming in and chairing it every 3 months is really important for them. And then also holding professionals accountable for their actions and the timescale set. I think another thing that we found, which is mentioned here, is not received a social care visit since the meeting. So one thing we're working really hard on in Somerset is because it's classed as child in need, there's been quite a big kind of push and change for social workers to treat it more like a child protection plan and do that really regular visiting. So that's something that we're really pushing forward now, and there's quite a few plans in place of how we can make that work. So, as I said earlier, the most important thing is that all professionals are partners and they're all coming to the meetings and they're all working really hard together. It can't solely focus on one agency to try and address exploitation concerns. So within our team, my team, the Preventing Exploitation Team, we have lots of different support that we can offer to children who are on a child in need ROTH plan. This support is also available to other children that are on different plans, but we prioritise the children on the ROTH pathway. So in Somerset at the moment, we commission St Giles. So we've got 2 full-time St Giles workers, and they are child exploitation mentors, and they work very similar to how our CE support workers work, and they'll be allocated quite a small number of children, about 8 children each, and it would be very much focused on the kind of intense relationship-based practice, trauma-informed model, and they'll be meeting children 3 times a week if needed, and this is all as well as the social worker visits. So that's been, that's proved probably our most successful thing at the moment, is that we're really managing to engage some of our hardest to reach children. So St Giles and CE support workers do similar roles. We've also got a parent carer worker who works solely with the parents and carers of children. I think she's probably open to every single child, every single family on a ROTH plan at the moment. And her role is kind of creating one-to-one bespoke direct work plans. And she'll go and visit families weekly, more than that if they need it. She'll take them to meetings if they feel they need some more support. Not just CiN ROTH meetings, any meetings. She's really there for the parents. And what we found through kind of feedback and our own learning through the ROTH pathway is the huge toll that exploitation takes on the parents of the child. And there's so much support for the children now. I think parents were feeling kind of, they've got all this and I'm just left holding it. So that's why we introduced the parent worker, to kind of meet the needs of the parents and be there for them. And sometimes it's just offloading once a week with a coffee. And then other times it's a really clear direct work plan where she's kind of really teaching them about the different types of exploitation, or talking about safety plans, things like that. So that's been a huge move forward for us in Somerset. We also have access to a speech and language specialist. So during the ROTH pathway and things like that, if it's identified that there may be a speech and language need, we can fast track an assessment for the speech and language therapist. And we've joined forces with the youth justice team, and they're currently recruiting a clinical psychologist. So that would be for any child that we feel, that needs that assessment, needs a bit more support, and the priority will be given to children on a ROTH plan. So there is a lot of support out there, and we're now at the point of it's working well. We just need to get more children onto the pathway. So that's what we're pushing now, is the kind of promotion of it, and really encouraging social workers and team managers to consider whether the child they've got in their team would be supported better on this pathway, and whether a referral would be made. So yeah, I just really encourage you all to keep it in mind when you're working with children, have those questions, and it might be the social worker just may not have thought about the ROTH pathway because it is so new, and just encouraging them to consider it in the planning for the child you're working with.